In this lesson, we're looking at how to find the equation of a linear graph. So when we're dealing with linear, you always need to know that this is the form that we're following. And in this format, we have the y-intercept as a, and we have the slope as b. So our goal is using whatever's given to us to find those two values. So our goal is to find a and b, the y-intercept and the slope. And then we want to substitute this into our format so that we have a equation where a and b are numbers, not as letters. So here's an example where we're given the slope and y-intercept. If this is our best scenario possible, because we know the y-intercept is just going to go into a, the slope is going to go into b. So if the slope is 5 and the y-intercept is 1, all we need to do is, instead of writing a, we write 1 for y-intercept. Instead of writing b, we write 5 for the slope. The second one as well, y-intercept is 1/4 and slope is 3, so 1/4, and where it's slope, you write 3. Now this next one, a little bit trickier because it gives us the slope as 4 and it says it passes the origin, but it doesn't give us the y-intercept. So we need to visualize what this looks like. So if a graph, no matter where it's coming from, if it passes through the origin, which it's 0, 0, it means that the graph has a y-intercept of 0 because that's where it passes the y-axis. So if it passes through the origin, that means the y-intercept is 0. So in our equation, we can write, instead of y-intercept, we can write a 0 there. And then it gives us the slope, which is 4. So we write it like this. And obviously 0 is 0, so we don't want to write that. We just write it as this. Alright, this next scenario will be given a slope and a random point. So not y-intercept. So it can't go straight into this a value. But rather it's just a random point on the graph. So if a graph has a slope of 4 and it passes through this point where x is 2 and y is 1. So our first step is to substitute the slope into the equation. So having y equals, we don't know the y-intercept, so we'll just leave it as a. And we do know the slope, and the slope is 4. So we substitute 4 like that. And then our next step is to substitute the point that's given to us into the equation that we just came up with. So instead of y, we should have 1. That's from this point here. And a is still a. We don't know what a is. Well, 4 still 4. But then instead of x, we should have 2 because it's given to us. Now, obviously we still don't know what a is, and that's what we're trying to solve. And we can use stochastic to solve it, or we can just use algebra to solve it. It's up to you. If you're using doing it by hand, it's 1 equals a plus 8, so a has to equal -7. If you're not comfortable doing that, obviously you can go into the CAS, and then what you want to do is go into the calculator, menu, algebra, and solve, and you want to write down the equation. So 1 equals a plus 4 times 2, and then you want to finish with comma a and enter, and it gives you a equals -7. So once you have your a value, from the slope, we have the b value and we just found out what a value is. So we can write the equation fully. So we want to write y equals -7, that's what we found as a, plus 4x. This is our full equation. This next one as well is given us the slope and a point. So first is to substitute this slope into our equation. Again, in this case, slope is negative, so we have a -2 there. And then next step is to substitute the point that's given to us. So y is -2, a is still a, slope is still -2, but then x is now 3. That's from this point. And then again, you can use the cas to solve for a. I'm just going to quickly do it on the side. So a has to be 4. And once you found your a value, you finish the equation. Y equals 4 minus 2x. Alright, our last scenario is when we're just given 2 points. This requires a little bit of a different skill. So what we want to do, I'm just going to write this on top again. So we know it's going to be in this format, and we're given 2 points. What I like to do, and I think this is the most efficient way, but there's another way that's written here, so you can follow this way as well. There's instructions there, but I'm going to show you a different way than the one that's written there. So what I like to do, I put in these 2 points. So when y is 3, we don't know a and b, but we do know that x is 0. So we have one equation, and then we use the second point and we substitute the y and x again into the equation. So when y is 4, we know that a plus b, and then instead of x, we know it's 6. So now we have 2 equations, and we can just solve this on the CAS. So what I like to do, go into menu algebra, solve, and then press this button here that's next to the book, and then choose this one where there's 2 boxes like that, and then it has these 2 boxes. Actually, there's an even better way, I just realized as I was doing it. So if you go into menu algebra, instead of going solve, if you go down and solve system of equations, and we go there because we right now have 2 equations. So number of equations, we have 2. Variables that we have is a and b currently. So instead of x and y there, we're just going to write a comma b. Then if you press enter, it does all this for you. And all we have to do now is to write these equations. So first one was 3 equals a plus b times 0. And the second one was 4 equals a plus b times 6. And then once you have the 2 equations written, you press enter, and it tells you what a and b are. So once you know what a and b are, so let's just write it down. So 3. B is 0.167. Now all you have to do is put these values, a and b values, into the equation. So we have y equals, instead of a, we have 3. And then instead of b, we have 0.167 x, and that's our answer. For this next one as well, we're given 2 values. So right away, I'll be substituting these values. So instead of y, we have -7. And then we have a plus b, and then instead of x, we should have 1. So just substituting the values. And for this one, we have y equaling 1, a and b are the same. And then instead of x, we have -3. Again, now we have two equations. So we go into our CAS. We want to go menu, we don't want to do that. We want to go menu, algebra, solve systems of equations, and then two equations. Again, instead of x and y, we have a and b. So enter, and we just want to write down the equation. So -7 equals a plus b times 1, and the next one is 1 equals a plus b times -7. And then press enter, gives you a and b values, which is nice, -5 and -2. So you write them down, a is -5, b is -2. So your final step is to write those values. So y equals, instead of a, we write -5, and instead of b, we write -2, and x, and that's our answer.